Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, with the mercy, grace, love and guidance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we continue our da'wah, this series of video which from our Khalifa Education Foundation and our Post-Islamic Psychology Center, where we give free certification program for you to become certified, inshallah, in motivation, coaching, mentoring and counseling. Very easy to get your certification. Go to our website or go to our YouTube or contact us by email. And I have explained to you the need for us to meet the challenges of the 21st and 22nd century, where the extinction of human civilization itself is so abundantly clear. The latest report from Scrip Institute of Climate, this is a very well-known institute. If we do not change our way, we will have a 5-degree Celsius increase in temperature within the next 50 years. At that rate, other scientists have extrapolated that maybe out of the 7 billion human beings that's living on this earth, only 1 billion will be left. So, wallahu alam, Allah knows best. So what is important is now we Muslims must work together with all human community of the world to solve this existential problem of our own existence and the existence of the Ummah as we face the challenges of climate disaster. And I'm giving you this idea so that, inshallah, we will have to move away from confrontational Islam to an all-inclusive Islam without compromising on our deen and our worldview. That's why I'm giving you this background to the videos of Worldview so that you can understand which direction we are going. And this is part of our new book, inshallah, Islam Heart of Love, comprising all the research in consciousness, quantum field theory, mind-body research and so on. Inshallah, over time we will go, and how we Muslims must help other human beings to move away from atheistic, materialistic civilization, which will cause our destruction in 50 to 100 years, or we progress. So either we fail and human species disappear from this earth, or we succeed and then we progress. But the progression should be, Muslims must be spiritual Muslims full of Iman, Ihsan, practicing the fullness of the heart of love. Alright? And I've given to you what are the root cause of our degeneration of the Ummah, and how the cycle of human thinking has been destroyed over the last 300 years because of physicalism and materialism, and how they are coming back again, especially with research on quantum field theory and consciousness research, neurobiology and so on. And how in the last video I explained to you the need for Muslims to have our worldview correct. Without a correct worldview, without a correct Tawhidic principle, we are no different than all the others who are groping in the dark. Our true Tawhidic principle is a revealed knowledge. Remember, in the materialistic world, there's no such thing as revealed knowledge. They only have empirical knowledge based on experimentation. But they cannot experiment what is beyond the physical world. So that's why it is physicalism. But the reality beyond the physical world is there for everybody to see. For example, the hard question of consciousness. No materialist can explain it. So now they are going into quantum field theory, they are going into information theory, they are going into mathematical complex algorithm, they are going into many areas of consciousness research which finally point them to a mind. So they don't want to use the God, whatever they want to use, but it is moving in that direction. So that's why we have our strong strength in terms of the Ahkamul Asliyah, where we have the Ilmu Tawhid. So we have challenges that we are going to face in this modern world. But historically, we Muslims, within the framework of Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah, has withstood the test of time. That means 90% of the Muslims who identify themselves with the four schools, the Mazhab, and with the Kalam, or the principles of tenets of Islam, Tawhidic principles based on Ash'ari and Maturidi, are safe up to today. But we have modern challenges. So I'm going to give you first the understanding and reflection of how this come about. Okay? How when you discard revelation and go for rationality, you will go out of the path of Islam. That means your worldview will be outside of Islam, especially the Mu'tazilite. And I'm referring back to my teacher's book, The Tenets of Islam. We'll read a few passages and I give you some idea of what it's all about. The most popular discussed issue in the field of kalam in those days are of the speech of Allah, kalamullah, as to whether it is accidental or eternal. Accidental means it is created. Eternal is a sifat Allah, kadim. However, this field of knowledge is also called usuluddin or al-aqaid. Most of the differences of opinion included in those with the various Islamic fractions, particularly with the Mu'tazilite. So the first challenge that we have to face in the ancient time, this is 300 years Hijriyah. We're talking about 300 years of Hijriyah. Now it's 1400, coming to 1500. Hijriyah. We are faced with the challenges of Greek theology, Greek rationality, Aristotelian logic, and so on. So we have various Islamic fractions, particularly the Mu'tazilites. As has been pointed earlier, they were the first fraction which laid down certain tenets contradicting clearly to the Sunnah and the practices of the generality of the companions of Prophet in respect of their tenets. So the Mu'tazilite was the first challenge. So the external challenge in terms of dualists, people who believe in duality, people who believe in the myth of the Greek gods, people who believe in Trinity. Those were all the discussion at that time. People who believe in Zoroastrianism, and so on. Those were the discussion in the fields of knowledge in Baghdad those days. Not the Baghdad today, the Baghdad 300 years after Hijrah, which is a confluence of the center of ilm to the world, where our libraries, as they mentioned, was so huge that you cannot imagine the number of manuscripts that has been kept there. Alhamdulillah. So we have to reclaim that. So the Mu'tazilite developed the Greek logic. So that first took place when their leader, Wasil ibn Atta, withdrew himself from the majlis of Imam Hasan al-Basri. Imam Hasan al-Basri is bringing our Ash'ari kalam, but he withdrew and began to say, whoever commits a grave sin shall sit neither as a Muslim believer nor a kafir. And he began to establish a new status in between. So in Islam we have Muslims and kafir, but he created a new category. This person, Atta bin Wasil, and he is the founder of the Mu'tazilite. Therefore, Imam Hasan al-Basri announced that he, Wasil ibn Atta, I'tazilah, that means withdraw, I'tazilah from our majlis. Therefore, they were named the Al-Mu'tazilah, or those who are separatists. Okay? So, what they do is basically, many of the things that they hold, that their tenets is that it is intellectually essential for Allah to reward those who submit to Him and punish those who goes against Him, and there's no eternal attributes of Allah. So Allah only has essence, but there's no eternal attributes. All attributes are accidents or creatures, and many other areas. The difference, I can list out the difference between Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah generally versus the Mu'tazilite is, for example, number one, Allah alone is eternal and His attributes are not eternal. So they split Allah and His attributes. So once you have Allah is eternal and the attributes are not eternal, that is become an impossibility. Alright, from the point of view of Al-Mukalam, that becomes an impossibility, or it becomes two aspects. Because if Allah is everlasting, eternal, He is eternal, and you say that eternality is not eternal, then it becomes a contradiction. There are many arguments about that, but we should know that the Mu'tazilite view that Allah alone is eternal and His attributes are not eternal, that means accident, is a fallacy. Alright? The miracles of the Quran is in its teaching and not in the language or recitation. So they don't believe in the miracles of the Quran. Man has free will, and as such he is the author of his own action. so they don't believe in qada and qadar. He is a free agent of his destiny. Evil cannot be described to God. It is all human. Again, they are bringing their own Aristotelian Socratic philosophy. The speech of God is an accident and is not eternal, and so on. So these are the few very clear doctrinal difference, worldview that is different. That means this doctrine of the Mu'tazilite were based on Greek philosophy and were contradictory to the teachings of the Prophet. They become unreasonably rationalistic, engaging religious truth therewith. Because of this fraction and other similar fraction that began to contest the actual teachings of the Quran and the way of the Prophet in the light of their logic, it becomes essential for the sincere, dedicated defenders of faith to cup the challenge and melt out such fractions and refute their argument with the same tools that they use, that is, by logical reasoning. And the most prominent of these seven in this logical reasoning that support this doctrine is Abul Hasan Ali ibn Ismail, also known as Al-Ash'ari, and Maturidi, and later on Imam Ghazali, and many more. So that was the ancient challenge in terms of the worldview of the tenets of Islam, which we must understand historical context, because now I'm going to give you, inshallah, in the next video, the context vis-a-vis contemporary Islam, the worldview that we must hold to preserve this deen, protected by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from deviation and spurious worldview that can destroy this ummah. May Allah protect us and guide us and bring us to the realization that we have a purpose and meaning in life, to be the sincere servant of Allah, His Khalifa on this earth, striving to make ourselves good, helping others to be good, and making the world good, inshallah.